Hello and welcome to the Reds Report, Barnsley FC's longest running podcast, proud to be part of the TalkSport Fans Network. Quite a bit to talk about, as always with us. He is Super Bowl ready. Ian, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. How are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's the only bit we'll talk about the Super Bowl. Who's going to win tonight then? Or tomorrow morning?
I would say the Chiefs. They've been there, they've done it. They've got the coach who knows how to do it, and the best quarterback.
Well, there you go. Talking about the Chiefs, Steve's in the house as well. Evening, Steve.
Good evening.
You all right?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well indeed.
Very good. Right, let's get straight into it. At Leyton Orient.
Just wants it to end.
You what, mate? Say that again.
He just wants it to end so he can go to the pub.
I've a better offer. What can I say? I've got a better offer.
He's going to be a man of few words tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. that could be a good thing, although he's gaining fans on Twitter, but let's not even go into that. Leyton Orient, at half-time, trailing 1-0. I can't remember a half of football where I thought we've created more chances in 45 minutes than we've done sometimes in 3 or 4 matches in a row. Steve, we'll start with you today. Can you remember a better half of football where we haven't scored than yesterday? Because it seems to be that, chances galore.
It was odd. It were really odd. We played some really decent football-ish. Week before at Bolton, I thought that were probably the best performance we've had this season so far. And actually, I was disappointed when we came away with point because I think we could have won last week. We missed loads of chances. It looks as though they've carried that positivity on to Leyton Orient. First half, goal was a mistake from what I could see. Jordan Williams, instead of putting his head, he tried to put his boot, and it just didn't work for him. But from that, then they seemed to pull together. Second half, it were getting to a stage where you thought, well, we're never going to score. That it's going to be 1-0 and that'll be it. But obviously not. Obviously, we went and banged another 2 in, which were, well, it were crazy scenes afterwards, weren't it?
Yeah. Ian, lots on social media yesterday about Josh Earl, obviously, immediately starting at Bolton at left back, and again yesterday. I saw some tweets today sort of saying he is the next Mawson, he's the next Pinnock. I think he's all right. I think he does the simple things correctly. Are we over-egging him a little bit, or do you see a proper diamond in the rough there?
Your first mistake was saying Twitter. It's just a cesspit of shite. He does do the simple things simple, and sometimes footballers can overcomplicate football, can't they? And people can overcomplicate it with tactics. And ultimately, as a defender, you just want to do everything simple. There's a time to clear it. There's a time to do something more with it, whatever. But he slotted in. He's hit the ground running. But he's played 2 games, for goodness sake. He might pull his hamstring next week and be out for 6 weeks. We don't know, but hopefully he doesn't. And I think the positive thing is he's come in and he's slotted in. It's not always easy for some players at halfway through a season to just come in at the ground running, and he has done, to be fair to him. But yeah, it's so far it's looking a decent acquisition.
Yeah, that's one of the players they talked about, Steve. We talked about the chances created. That man, Adam Phillips, missed a couple. He is very much a confidence player, isn't he? That when he's full of confidence, it seems, look at last season where, we got on a bit of a run and goals were outside the area. But to be losing in the 88th minute and go home, finish the match with 3 points. What was different about Phillips than the Phillips we've seen for the past 5-6 weeks, when often we've said, you forget he's playing, or, what was the difference? Did he play a bit more forward? Did he take a chance? Was his vision? What was the difference? Is it just something that took ages to come?
I think nobody's going to agree with me. At half time, you could have taken him off because he'd done sod all again. But I take my hat off to him that second half. He seemed to put himself about a bit. He got forward a lot more, and he looked to be making. He made some really good runs that second half, especially for his first goal. Maybe it was confidence. Maybe he just thought that second half, you know what, I've got a chance of getting something here. And that last 20 minutes, he really stepped up, and he looked like the player from last season. However, I have read something on shit earlier today that somebody's already got him down as their player at year. So obviously 20 minutes, and we're in February now.
They're on drugs.
They're on. I don't get it. I just don't get it. A lot of guys were having a go on Twitter earlier this week, and yeah, I get your points of view. Last season, it best midfield in league last season we had, and if they could have carried it on to this year, we'd have been at top, not Portsmouth or anybody else. But be honest. He's been crap up to the last few games. He had a bit of a spell at Christmas, same as Herbie Kane did, where you thought, right, here they go, now they're firing. And then it just went off like a damp squib. But yeah, 20 minutes, end of game yesterday, he were back to his own, he were getting in, he were putting his foot in, and he scored a couple of goals. Brilliant. Excellent. I'm happy for him, sincerely happy for him. But I want to see it Tuesday night. I want to see it next Wednesday. And and if he keeps going, yeah, them guys that were on Twitter, I'll buy you a box of tissues because you must have wanked your sense silly Saturday night. But
remind me to take the option that it's
18 plus. Let's be realistic. Let's be realistic about it. Actually, tonight I was going to say I thought Barry Cotter was shocking on Saturday because he lost ball more times and he couldn't cross his legs near mine cross the ball. But it's each game. It's what people see, and it's all about opinions. And nobody likes my opinion, and I don't care. But if you're crap, I'm going to say you're crap. But if you play really well, I'm going to say you played really well. And I thought Phillips that last 20 minutes were excellent.
Is there some credit to go to Neil Collins, Ian? Because I was saying yesterday to the lads, I would have taken Phillips up at half time, put McAtee in that role, and maybe put Cosgrove up front because they seem to have the measure of Cole. Just give him something else to think about. Clearly, Neil Collins decided against that, and well done, Neil Collins. And he did say that in training he's always brilliant and everything. What is it then about saying? Because he talked about being an absolute quality player. He's got quality throughout, but we've just not seen that, have we? What is it? Is it like stage fright? He's fantastic during training, but when there's 12,000 people in Oakwell, he forgets how to play, or what is it? Because it's very much a black and white situation, isn't it, with Phillips at the moment? He's either fantastic, or we slate him might not be the right word, or we're not impressed with him. What's happening?
I wouldn't. I don't want to sound really bad here, but I wouldn't necessarily credit Collins with the victory. I think it was down to the players. I thought we looked better when we went to 10 men. No disrespect to Connell, because I thought Connell was one who was really trying to get us going, and he was right to have a go at the ref. And I think the ref lost it in the last 15, 20 minutes. Control freak, just lost it. So I thought, fair play to the players. We were down to 10 men, and they still, considering we've not been great when we've been behind, we've not been great at home. I think the players deserve the credit. I'm not dissing Collins. I just think fair play to the players. It was them who dug themselves out of the hole. In terms of Phillips, look, even Michael Duff was saying this last season, wasn't he? I want him to be a 90-minute player, and he's not a 90-minute player. What he was doing last season was in flashes of games, he was coming and scoring, and he was influencing games. He's done that less and less this season. So he's just, I don't think he's ever going to be a 90-minute player. But if he does click, then it's going to be like yesterday, he was a match winner.
when you look at the team that we put out yesterday, a team I think a lot of us had forecast you wouldn't make any changes because Steve started early. I think that, you know, Bolton, we really battled. We kept in it. We kept going. End of the season, though, Herbie Kane, Jordan Williams, Devante Cole, Nicky Cadden, Robbie Cundy, Matty Wolf, Ben Killip and Aidan Marsh are all out of contract. Well, Kane, Williams, Cole and Cadden, that's 4 out of a very regular startup this season, isn't it? Out of those, anybody we want to keep? Are we happy for him to go? Do we want to offer new contracts? Because that will be the next. We know Kane don't really want to stay. He mentioned that in that interview with with Adam Oxley a couple of months ago. What about Williams? What about Devante Cole, Nicky Cadden? What's our feelings on those? Because they're all
Cole's going to go. Cole's going to go because of performances he's had this season. And with his goals as well. And I still see people saying, oh, he's rubbish, he don't do this, he don't do that. But it's one of them. He might not do anything for 89 minutes, but on that 90th minute, he'll come up with a brilliant finish or something, and he scores a goal, and that's why he's leading scorer. But I still think he'll go. Kane can go. You don't want to be there. Reminiscent to Styles, he's not interested, so that's fine. Cadden,
Williams.
What do you want me to say about Jordan Williams? He's still playing in wrong position, and he'll never be a captain while he's got an hole in his arse. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Will Jordan Williams be a better player if Pine starts in the middle and he takes the role of Barry Cotter or Corey O'Keefe?
Jordan Williams will only be a better player if Collins plays him in position, and the only position that he can actually play in, and that's on right-hand side. But he insists when we've got centre halves, when we'd still got Lapata, who's a better centre half, and he still played him at right hand side of a back three. So you tell me what Collins is thinking is, because I ain't got a clue. I'd like to see Cadden stop, I think. I still think he lacks a bit of pace, but he had some nice touches and some nice runs yesterday, and I like him on that left hand side.
Yeah.
What other one? Cundy, who's he?
Robbie Cundy, Matty Wolf, Ben Killip, and Aidan Marsh.
Wolf, I'd like to see Wolf stay. I don't think we've seen best of Matty Wolf. I think he could be, he could still do a job for us. Aidan Marsh don't get a look in. Cundy can go. Killip, well, I hate to say this, but Killip might be number 1 next season.
Well, he's out of season. He's out of contract in the summer, so
that might be why he stops. Because let's face it, if we can't get Roberts to stop, we're on hiding to note, aren't we? Really,
Ian, and not. But when you look at, we talked about a couple of weeks ago about the transfers we brought in during the summer. Most of those, especially defensively, have gone out to lower league clubs to get some experience. Aidan Marsh on the bench yesterday, no sign of Watters. Does Aidan Marsh rate higher than Watters? Because it's not really worked for Watters at all, has it? He's had chances and he started, but never really materialised, has it?
No. We'd get ahead of Watters, wouldn't we? I mean, I'm not being funny. He's been.
Not me with my back leg, but your two might.
even you with your leg.
Even you with your back leg.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, Cosgrove's not pulled no trees up. I know we talk about Watters. He came on yesterday and didn't particularly show.
Yeah. No, I think anybody could go deserves a place before Watters. It's just been a really poor transfer, that one. Marsh, I don't know. You've seen glimpses of him and you'd like him to do well, but I just don't think he's ever going to get a run in the side. I just don't think he's going to get a full 10 games in a row that sometimes players need to bed in. So I think he'll end up going at some point. It's looking like a mass clear out at this stage, isn't it? Because like we said, out of all them names, I mean, Williams was awful for that goal. I mean, the only one good thing he did in the whole 90 minutes, and he was quite poor for most of it, he did stop. He put a challenge in second half. They looked like their centre forward was about to hit it. He looked like he was going to score and get the second, and he just nicked it off his toes. But up to that point, he'd been a liability. And like Steve said, he's been awful all season. As soon as he had that interview at the start of the season talking about he wants to play at the highest level, he's been awful. So I'd keep Cadden. I know he's not great defensively, but he's a real threat going forward. So I'd like to see him stay.
One player we've not really talked about and gets loads and loads of well-deserved accolades is our French number 6, Mal de Gevigné. Solid again. That's all you can really say, isn't it? He seemed to have really horror start to his career at Barnsley, then was brought back in. Mr. Reliable, can we say that, or is that too much? If you had to rate him, Steve, what would you say?
Yeah, like you said, that first game that we watched him play, wow, it were frightening. It were a horror story. It really was. But just goes to show that there is definitely a player in there. He's given him opportunity to take that position. And for me now, I can't see anybody taking that position off him. Not at all. First name on team sheet for me. I still worry sometimes about the actual, I'm going to say the style that we play. I still don't really know what style it is we do play. Sometimes they just seem to get lost with this tippy-tappy around back, cross back 3, back to keeper, trying to look for an out ball and it's never there. And I thought at times, even though we played decent yesterday, there were times where I looked at how the team was set up and you just thought, what formation is that supposed to be? Because it's not 3-5-2, it's not 5-3. Players were in where you would not normally have them, and I just think sometimes does Collins overcomplicate it? Like Ian said earlier, players won it yesterday, not Collins, because the substitutions he made actually were again like for like, near enough. Yeah. So it was definitely a players win yesterday for me.
I mean, credit to the players. Ian, I was chatting to Rob Staten the other day, and he was saying how it's quite a poor season, isn't it, for South Yorkshire football? Sheffield United, I mean, they got a win yesterday, but likely to go down from the Premier League. Sheffield Wednesday, struggling. Again, they got a result that looked like they go down. And then they've got their issues with the chairman, because if you want to buy a season ticket, you can only pay cash or cheque at Hillsborough. You can't pay with your card. Rotherham, down likely as well. Chesterfield doing extremely well. Viva, well done, Chesterfield. Doncaster are doing well. But then if you look at us, like the issues we've had off the field, which again was added to this week. So we had the whole EFL charge early in the season that we're still waiting on whatever happens with that. Then we had the FA Cup thing. And then the latest one, obviously, is somebody's gone to the press to say that there was an issue that Gene Crine, as part owner of the club, had commented on the dress or the way another employee was dressed. Some sort of restorative conversation was held and an apology was given, thinking that's the end of it. But then the lady in question found out that that other people in the club had all heard about this, and somebody had gone to the press. It's stuff we don't need, is it? Like, we sometimes wonder what's happening on the pitch, but you like to think, when you look at a Sheffield Wednesday and our derby, we don't need all that palaver, do we?
No, I think I think the problem is with this thing that come out is this week is it's a culmination of things, isn't it? That's the problem. It just looks like another negative story that's coming out. In itself, it's a Storm in a 34D Cup, isn't it? It's now, is it?
I like what you did there, son. I like it. He's getting there. He's coming on. Young Sensei is there.
But let's face it, stuff like that goes on at every football club. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying any part of it's right or whatever. But you look at like down the road from me at Bolton with Ian Everett and his gambling problems, and then he ends up being blackmailed, and then there's rumours he's knocking people off at the work in the hotel. So these things happen at football clubs all the time. But I think the problem is it's it's a culmination of things. It's, you know, Khalid with his big news and then buggering off. It's the West Stand issue. It's the club at Logheads with the fans about atmosphere and standing. It's just everything. It just ends up being, it gets everybody down, doesn't it? That's the problem. But why something like that ends up in the Athletic of all places is poor form as well. Why is stuff like that coming out of the club? Stuff like that can easily be kept inside the club, can't it?
You can only, and that's drawing conclusions, and I might well be wrong, is this person who no longer works in the club maybe have spoken to somebody to, I mean, highlight it. I don't know. We'll never know everything that's going off. But it's funny because we mentioned all these negatives, and we got this news this week, Steve, that they have started the application for an area of rail standing or safe standing within Oakwell. Now, that's not something that's going to be done. That will likely not be ready for next season, so it will be the season after that if that's approved. And people will be pro and against. Well timed, though, to say this is what we're going to do, because it's been an issue for a long time. We've just had the issue with Gene Crine, and they've not really mentioned anything about that, but it says we have got news. There is a carvery on Sunday, and we've applied for funding. Is it a bit of a softener to the fans to try and, you know, if we give them this, they'll forget about that? Or how do you view it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I get that they want an area of safe standing. Of course, I get it. Interesting to see where they decide they're going to put it, because you would think, personally, it'd be as you look at the pitch, the right-hand side of the Ponty end, which is always the most vociferous anyway, and they do the best singing, etc. But they always seem to be stood up there anyway, so that would make sense to make that a standing area. However, you come further across Ponty end, you're not going to get people that want to stand up. And it's no good saying, well, if team's playing well and we're scoring goals, we're going to stand up. No, it don't work like that. When you get to my age, it's nice to be able to sit down. But what I will add to this, whether you were going to bring it on later on, is, yeah, it does deflect from what's gone off with Gene Crine and blah, blah, blah. What I think is an absolute disgrace is the fact that there was nothing mentioned yesterday about Vicky Stevens leaving.
Well, can I just
after
leaving
over 10 years.
And Peter Handyside, ex-captain, ex-Barnsley captain.
Ex-captain as well. That one, nothing ever said about that.
There would have been
one tweet, wasn't there?
Yeah. They talk about alumni and, you know, once a Red, forever a Red and all. I didn't hear anything being announced yesterday either. Now, no, it was done. I looked today on social media. I mean, Grimsby did a really big piece about it, and the other clubs, was it Notts County? I can't remember, but they made a big thing of it. I didn't look at the programme yesterday, but I don't know if there was anything in there. But I would have thought, especially given, you know, it's a home win and everybody was in boisterous mood, you know, a club employee, and they did before, didn't they? When Sedge left, the physiotherapy, you know, he sort of went and no. It just feels, I don't know. We talk about the club and we talk about incidents. Somebody like a Vicky Stevens, and Steve, you'll know, we interviewed her a few years ago. I think deserves more than nothing, if you know what I mean. And behind the scenes, they might have organised a party or whatever. I think from a fan's point of view, when we put it on, I saw it on Facebook, when we put it on Twitter, loads of people saying, I didn't know this, I didn't know this. She's been a mainstay, Ian, in that group of players from, well, I know under Vel, when Sedge left, she sort of took over. Surely that deserves more than.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get some players who hardly only played any games and they get bunches of flowers on the pitch like they did the other year, and it just seems to be they're just not getting the balance right, are they? They're going on about these alumni, and players who've played 5 minutes get this alumni number, and then people who actually have been there season after season and the mainstays or ex-captains who've passed away and stuff, there's like next to nothing. It's just like they just don't seem to read the room right at all and seem to get when it's right to give somebody the limelight and say thanks very much and give them the send-off. and yet they do it for other people who just don't barely deserve it. They just don't seem to get it right at all off the pitch.
To me, it's that big corporation mentality of, at the end of the day, you're a small cog in a large machine, and you're just a number. It's like a lot of people who listen, a lot of people who support Barnsley will think exactly the same, that whoever they work for, do they get the sort of recognition that you used to get when you worked for a company for 10, 15, 20, 25 years. These days, it don't matter. You're just a number, and it just stinks of that. And to me, I think they've dropped ball on this big style, not just with Vicky, but also with Peter Andy's side as well. I think it's a disgrace, to be quite honest.
And just a quick reaction. Obviously, director of football's been appointed. I know that's why I didn't work for them. I would have hoped. I was always hoping for somebody who might have managed in the EFL, that knows the EFL.
Somebody who knew a bit about football would have been nice, wouldn't it? How good would that have been for a change?
It's no surprise, is it? It's no surprise that they've gone for data-driven when we've been data-driven for the last 5 years. So
if you've ever got any trouble with your computer or your antivirus, you're going to get in touch with her. But if you want a decent striker, they ain't got a keen prayer. Unbelievable.
But it's and also, given the fact what we talked about with Gene and everything, I think they're looking for a new HR director as well. So it just seems like you've got these people coming in that talk about
new communications, buddy. Need a new head of communications.
It's shocking. It's rubbish when you think about it. I mean, actual communication coming out of Rockwell's always been poor when it comes to transfers, rumours, anything like that. They've always kept the cards close to the chest, which is fair enough. But this last, I don't know, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, maybe, the actual, and the talk about bond between the club and the community, and they're trying to build it up and what have you. And it's stuff like this. It just drives a bigger wedge in between.
It's like they've absolutely gone overboard, haven't they, with their social media stuff about Pines. He better be some player, because even after last night, they were filming him when he's on pitch side. He's not even in squad. Well, he's not properly involved yet. Everything's Pines this, Pines that. I thought he better be a bloody player. We've not signed a new Beckenbauer or something, have we? Do you know what I mean? It's like they go overboard with some stuff and then completely forget some staff members who've been there and given everything and stepped in the breach as well when others have left. And they forget, like Vicky Stevens, and they keep lauding it about a Carvery and Don Pines.
Yeah. I'm talking about Don Pines. Yesterday, before the lineup,
I was talking about the Carvery then.
There was a rumour floating about yesterday that Pines will start in the next match because he wanted to start him in an away match where traditionally this season we've performed better away, and knowing how volatile the crowd can be, especially at home. So an unchanged side yesterday, and the view that Williams will be taking the place of Barry Cotter, Pines in the middle with the Juvigny on one side and obviously Josh Earl on the other side. Next 2 fixtures are away fixtures. Tuesday, Shrewsbury, then Fleetwood on Saturday. On paper, Ian, given our away form, and where they are. Listen, anybody can win anybody, as it showed yesterday, because quite a few of the top teams, Peterborough, for instance, just above us, lost.
Yeah.
6 points, capable of. And do you think these will be the good type of matches for Pines to make his debut?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because I've been looking for 6 points. They won't be easy 6 points, because you look at Fleetwood. I think they lost yesterday at Lincoln, going down to 10 men. But at that point, Charlie Adams manager, and he's just had 2 wins on the bounce. And I think he's got them 6 points from safety now. So they've had that little new manager bounce. Won't be easy, but we should have enough to beat them. And Shrewsbury away is never an easy. That's a bit of a tough battle again, because we've had a few battles with them recently. But I'd expect we'd have too much for both sides. But I think they're good games for Pines, because they're probably physical. They'll be in your face. It won't be like tricky forwards running at him, it'd be like a big lump up against him, and it'll be like welcome to League One on a wet Tuesday night at Shrewsbury. So I think it'll be the making of him, these 2 games.
Same for you, Steve. Do you think two away wins? It's achievable, isn't it? And really, we need it to keep the pressure up Peterborough and those teams above us.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with Ian. You should be I think we should be looking at 6 points, definitely. Good games for him to come into. You're right, what you say. It'll either make him or break him, won't it? Shrewsbury on a Tuesday night when it's pissing it down. It'll not be like he's used to. So it'll be definitely a baptism of fire. But yeah, let's face it. If he's going to play for us, that's the sort of nights that he's got to get used to. So it'll be nice. It will be nice if you're right what you're saying, that Williams is going to drop to right wing back and he'll play that as a back 3. However, knowing our predictions from past, you're probably completely wrong, and it'll leave Williams where he is, and Pines will come on for the last 10 minutes. Go on.
I've had a few right recently.
No, I'm talking about Carlo though, mate. I was talking about, I'm sick of this 3-1 Devante Cole, and he's going to go 3-1. He's going to go 3-1 Devante Cole anyway. So,
and it's important, isn't it? Because the next game then is a week on Saturday, the 24th, where we're playing Derby. So the confidence of getting points, Pines to be completely sort of integrated in that team and making his mark is important. So we need 6 points. So just to finish off then, I'll go first. Barnsley away at Shrewsbury. I'm going for Shrewsbury 1, Barnsley 3 at the first goal. I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I'm going to go for Donovan Pines.
He won't play.
He'll not play. No, he'll be net. He'll be a keeper, won't he? He's been having us on all the time. He's a goalkeeper. Oh, shit.
Steve, results, scorer.
2-0 on Tuesday night. 2-0 on Saturday. Oh, you see what I did there? Adam Phillips is going to keep it going on Tuesday night, and I know people are going to say, "Oh, two-faced." No. Credit him where credit's due. If he's going to turn his season around now, he needs to step up and start banging a few in, and I think he'll score Tuesday night.
2-1 win at Shrewsbury, but I think they'll score late to make us sweat. McAtee's due a goal. I'll take a punt on McAtee. Fleetwood 3-1.
Devante Cole.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, you're not. I did forget, because obviously Luke O'Connell 2 yellows, so he misses the Shrewsbury match. How do you resolve that? You look at Russell.
Stay with 10.
Play with 10 for God's sake.
In all seriously, do you look at the new lads that's come in? Do you look at Grant, or do you go with?
See, I would prefer. I know we've not seen much of him, but I like to see players playing in the right position. And I think if you put a midfielder in midfield rather than playing a striker or dropping somebody in, it doesn't always work that. Or it's a bit hit and miss if it does. I'd rather put a player in there who knows that position and give him 50, 60 minutes and see how he goes.
So it'll be Russell then.
Well, yeah, probably. Against Shrewsbury, because they'll probably go long. He probably will, to be honest. Good shout, that.
Well, you've heard it here first. It will be 3-1 and likely be a combination of Devante Cole and Adam Phillips. You have been listening to the Reds Report. We will be back next week. Thank you for listening or watching, you Reds.